And good morning again, everyone. It is a Saturday, October 25, 2025. Good old 710 KNUS. You heard the weatherman. Woo! 72 and beautiful. And Sunday, 70, and back to work Monday, 63 and rain. We had a good show. I mean, so far this morning, Joe Williams on the NBA scandal and Katie Paige on UFOs and Snippy the horse. And now it's open lines, and we'll lead it up to Jerry Schimmel. Halloween is the gateway drug, right, to get you rolling for all the holidays coming your way. This is Diane in Denver. We have one line open. Diane, good morning.
Hey, Pete, you're as old as me, so you should remember Linda Moulton House.
Oh, I
she
knew
used to work for this CBS station.
Oh, I knew her really well.
Yeah, she got an Emmy Award for a TV documentary, A Strange Harvest.
Yes, I know her well. I mean, I knew her well. I haven't talked to her in years, so I shouldn't have said that. But she used to go on with Art Bell a lot, too. She'd do the Art Bell show.
Yeah, she has her own website, earthfiles.com.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And, she's, like I say, she's highly credentialed.
She was great. I mean, she was always a great interview. Have her on the show a lot.
Yeah, she's still out there. She's still doing interviews.
Cool.
Matter of fact, she did one on the 3-Eye Atlas.
All right. No,
and everybody's there's so much BS online, you know that.
No.
But I just wanted to ask you if you remembered her, that's all.
Well, of course I do. Very well, I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right,
Have
bye-bye.
a good day. Thank you. We go to Brian. There's a line open, 303-696-1971. Brian, you're on a radio show. Good morning.
Hey, Pete, it's nice to hear you again, always.
Thank you.
But the paranormal, it's true. I grew up in Arvada, so the Ridge home was allegedly haunted, and by the time I was in high school, it was abandoned, and it was a mental health place. And sure, we went in there at night once in high school in the 90s, and people said they heard stuff. I didn't hear or see anything. It looked more like homeless people were there, but allegedly it was haunted. And my mother-in-law worked for the city as the clerk for a while, and she said that when they built the Target over there off the highway on Kipling, that some of the contractors at night, they worked at night, and some of the contractors saw and heard things. And they literally hired like an exorcist, somebody to come in. They couldn't get people to work the night shift. And so
I think,
and so who knows? I mean, but if a city is actually hiring somebody because contractors don't want to work there, that makes me think that something's going on.
Well, if in fact that's true, because I think every neighborhood, including the one I grew up in, there's always like a witch house. There's always a haunted house and when you got to this time of the year, whoa, that really got attention. I always said that Halloween to me was always like the gateway holiday. If you had Halloween, and for a kid like me to go out and get free candy, that was like the home run. But then that opened the door to Thanksgiving. Once you got to Thanksgiving, you were straight downhill to Christmas. So I always loved Halloween, and I know people that don't like it, don't want anything to do with it, but gosh, that was like probably my favorite holiday when I was a kid growing up, was Halloween, and dressed up and went and got as much candy as you could get and tried to eat all of it in 48 hours. But what was your favorite costume when you were growing up as a kid?
Well, I did Luke Skywalker one year.
Whoa.
And my dad, he had the greatest idea. Was he just taped a piece of roll of paper to a flashlight. And that was my lightsaber.
No, listen,
and it was amazing because at night it was perfect, and and it just was a roll of paper, just taped onto a flashlight.
Works for me.
And the neighbors loved it. Everybody loved it. And one year, my mom, she used to sew a lot, and she had old sewing machines, the old Stinger sewing machines. and she sewed me a Fozzie the Bear outfit once in fourth grade.
How cool.
And I won the best
Sure.
in the elementary. I won it, and it was amazing. And hand stitched,
Oh,
and she had the pattern and everything. She'd go to Hancock Fabrics and
yeah,
just we'd spend a Saturday there. Me and my brother would hide in the linens, and just we hated it though,
Oh.
because she, and the older ladies would just cut that fabric with a straight scissor.
Yep.
Just my mom would just get those fabrics, and she made us costumes
Sure.
every year. She made us costumes until the 80s,
Yeah.
until the 80s, and then the store bought, plastic
Sure.
masks
Yeah.
and all that stuff went crazy. But my mom would hand stitch our outfits, and that was the best. It was the best, Pete.
Great
And
call.
then it was a segue to Thanksgiving,
You bet.
and that's my favorite holiday.
Yep.
It's my favorite holiday, Thanksgiving. But
Yeah.
I knew when Halloween came, but there was a lady that lived up in a cul-de-sac. We lived in a cul-de-sac, and everyone said her house she was haunted. She
There
was
it
a
is.
witch.
Everybody.
And my dad
yes.
said, go over there and shovel her walk. And you know what? She was the sweetest old lady you
of
ever
course.
met.
But every
There was nothing spooky
no,
about
of
her
course,
house.
Brian, every neighborhood you wanted it. You like it's almost like Jungian psychology. Every kid wanted it to be true, so it became true. And it's like there were houses, and believe me, and they were some of them like nobody lived in them, so that automatically qualified. But there would be an old lady or a hermit. We'd make the guy. I mean, you made him into people, like Carl Jung said. And so, understand, or at least reading Carl Jung and then looking back, of course. But we did that, and then November 1st, it's all over. It's like, okay, Halloween's over and moving on to Thanksgiving, like you point out. And that, my friend, as you know, was what it was for us when we were about 10 years old. So,
But we make the legends, Pete, and and Chauncey Billups is a legend.
Yeah.
He's the king of Park Hill, and I feel bad. Whatever he did, he's a good man, but he might have got caught up in some crazy stuff. But you know what, Pete? It's nothing different than what Congress does with insider trading, and those people become millionaires.
But
Pete.
here, the difference,
and they know things that nobody knows, and they buy and sell stocks. All those people.
It goes back to what I said, but it doesn't make an excuse for anybody. Brian, thank you, man. Have a good day. Thanks. 303-696-1971. Saturday morning, 25 October. We might look back on some things next Saturday perhaps on a show with a witch. So we'll see where that goes. But what were you for hell? I was, and we've talked about it a lot. It was a way to have Halloween on when you got no money, when your family's not really wealthy. And my mother, we've talked about this, especially when it became politically incorrect to be blackface. And I was like, wait a minute. And remember, when, all of a sudden, if you became blackface, then you were like clearly a racist and a Klansman and a neo-Nazi and a white nationalist, and all these things rolled into one. Well, we was broke, and my mother would get a cork, and we would get like some of my dad's clothes or something. I'm trying to remember. Now I see, like, I guess going to the Goodwill. People go to Goodwill and get Halloween costumes. But my mother, I remember it so well, that she had a gas stove in this little kitchen, and they'd burn the cork. And I'm sure it was a liquor bottle cork. I mean, I'm sure it was. And they'd burn it, and then they take and rub it on your face. Do it again, rub it on your face. And I remember that they had kitchen matches. Remember those kitchen matches? They were wood, and they were blue tips or white tips. I'm blue tips, I think, and red. Strike them and turn the gas on, light the stove, and take the cork, and then you'd wear an old pull-down hat and an old jacket, and you were what? You were a bum. You were a hobo. You weren't anything else but. You weren't knocking anybody off. You never thought of politically incorrectness. You were a bum, and then you got a bag, or later, when you're getting about 6th and 7th grade, when you really go, out, and then you had to watch out for big guys, big kids that get your bag. And there was a little store that was, these guys were there, and they'd be like leaning on the back of their cars and stuff, and sitting on the hoods and smoking cigarettes, like you're 6th grade. Hey, kid, hey, come here. Hey, come here, kid, come on over here. No, and you just took off. Like, big kids, bag snatchers. But that was the excitement that night brought. But I don't know, I didn't know that I couldn't see. I didn't get glasses until I think the 6th grade. So I'm out there at night like, where am I? But it was like way cool. We had like, and then sometimes if you were really at the end of your career, you could go home and drop a bag off and pick up another one and then work the other side of it. And then it was just, don't eat all of that at once. Watch me. Anyhow, let's go to the phones. We start with Hank in Denver. It's Saturday. Hey, Hank, you're on a radio show. Good morning. Thank you.
Hey, Peter. How you doing?
I'm good, Bubba.
Good. This is your fellow actor buddy from back in '96 when we were doing The Shining.
Oh, hey, man. Extra. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, indeed. Yes. Hey.
Good. Hey, listen, I dressed up as Snoopy in the 5th grade, but I actually made the Snoopy head out of paper mache.
Talent.
And so I wanted to go as Snoopy, the Red Baron.
Oh, sure. Of course.
And so my dad and I went and, do you remember the Army Navy surplus store on like 22nd and Larimer or Lawrence?
I don't, but that doesn't mean anything.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. I'm sorry. This is in the 60s. So,
No,
were you
okay.
in Colorado in the 60s?
Yes, but I don't remember the Army Navy surplus store. I remember the one on Broadway that's still there, and there's one up in Arvada, the surplus stores. Surplus stores they're like hardware stores. You can't go wrong. But go ahead.
Right. So this is, back in 67 maybe. I was a big Snoopy fan.
Right.
Anyway, I made the costume, made the head, and we found the actual World War I ace helmet that you see Snoopy wear, right?
Ooh.
And when we had our Halloween costume parade, everyone loved it. All the kids were like, "Oh my God, it's Snoopy!" Because he was huge back then.
Sure. No, I mean, I had, my mom, as I said, the cork, the burned cork, that was the, looking back on it, didn't cost anything. You didn't have to, elaborate costumes or just big old hat, a coat that didn't fit and make your face black. But it wasn't like everybody, always black face, that's the end of your life. We were bums, hobos.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
because your mom just splotted the ashes on your face,
well,
right?
No, she'd streak them, and you could get away with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but I know what you're talking about.
No, of
anyway,
course.
I just had to tell you that
you're
story.
Kind. Thanks, Bubba. Thank you very much. Happy Halloween. We go to Jack in Wyoming. There's a line open, 303-696-1971. Again, it's open lines, whatever you want to do. Hey, Jack, you're on the show.
Yeah, as you know, Pete, you and I are the exact same age. We did the exact same thing, and then it was the burnt cork and all that. And then we're trying to stick, and you get a big oversized bandana, and you stuff it full of rags and tie it on the end of it, because hobos used to carry all their worldly possessions that way.
Yeah, other people, we didn't have the stick with a sling. We just had the face. I think it was like...
But that's, burn the cork. And, my mother did that to us when we were little. And it was, I think half the kids going down the street, they'd have a great big pillowcase to fill up with candy.
You bet.
And then we all had but there was nothing derogatory about blackface. That's something they've created since then.
Some of it is, remember, was it Philip? Which one of them went as a Nazi, and they had a party and they caught him in Great Britain. They're all dressed up like Nazis, and that. And I'm told somebody sent me a text that the number, I don't know whether or not this is true. I don't believe it, but said number one costume this year is a Nazi. No, come on. But first of all, it would take a lot of money to be one, and it's silly. I mean, why would anybody do that anyhow? But I remember, a lot of guys. Your point's well taken. A lot of guys were hobos, bums.
Yeah, hobos was easy. But I don't remember store-bought Halloween costumes back then. I think that's before they commercialized those.
I think they did it, but it wasn't in the ballpark. You're going, and it was just. You were looking forward to it, and I also think that the day after Halloween, it was Thanksgiving, straight ahead Christmas. You're there, you're burning it up, and Thanksgiving was. Even now, when we do I'm sure we'll do it, the imaginary Thanksgiving Day parade, that kind of stuff. And I remember on TV, they would have Macy's, and my dad didn't.
Oh yeah.
My dad didn't get a TV till we were like, I don't know what grade I was in, and the old man got a TV, but we watched it. It was exciting stuff.
Well, Macy's had the parade. They had all those great big inflatable things that walked down.
Absolutely.
I guess it was Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And and Today's Show with Dave Garroway and all. You were getting excited.
Oh, I remember.
You could smell stuff.
I remember Dave Garroway when he had his first show. It was like 1955, if I remember correctly.
He was one of the guys that showed people how to do this job, and they were just. But but once you got. First of all, you hated back to school because it's the day after Labor Day. Now, my grandson went back to school before Labor Day, and I don't get that. But day after Labor Day, man, I got to go back to school. You hated it. And then eventually you kind of got into harness, with your homies. And then here comes the one and only Halloween. You started gearing up for Halloween, man. It's like, we're going to rock and roll all night. And what did I know? You made a little bunch of very underage diabetics. Well, all right, for all the money. And what's behind the curtain? What was your favorite candy bar?
They used to give us quarters in our neighborhood.
Oh, money. We'd
change our costume, and an hour later go back to the quarter doors.
Well,
and what was really good was the apartment houses, because you didn't have to walk so much.
What was your favorite candy bar?
I don't know. I always liked Tootsie Rolls.
Man, you have to eat those things, take you an hour.
Well, it takes your teeth, takes your fillings out, too.
Of course it does, too. Tootsie Rolls. Do they still make Tootsie Rolls? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. I had one the other day.
Then you got it. I was the chocolate guy. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. 303-696-1971. When he said quarters, nobody ever gave you any dough. But it's like... There was always the mythology again in the neighborhood that there was a place you could go. It was like El Dorado. Look back on it later. We were like little Spanish conquistadores. There was an El Dorado, the city of gold. And the rumor was if you could get there, they gave you silver dollars. And I like when you're a little kid, like fourth grade. Really? Yeah, man, it's like the Hershey's lived there and the Mellons lived there and the Fricks and all these infamous Western PA big-time families and had dough. That street is full of people that will give you silver dollars. Damn, how do I get there? That's the problem. El Dorado. 303-696-1971. Hang on.
Your 710 5-day forecast this Saturday. Going to have gorgeous sunny skies in the Denver metro and high temps in the low 70s. Going to keep it dry and clear tonight with lows in the mid 40s. Upper 60s Sunday. Lots of sun during the day, but do expect increasing clouds in the afternoon. Sunday night into Monday morning. A slight chance for some passing rain showers on the plains. Little light snow in the foothills. Lows upper 30s. Monday back to partly sunny skies. Highs low 60s. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Johnny Cash. Wow. Shel Silverstein wrote this. Oh, no, he wrote A Boy Named Sue. I don't know who wrote this. Johnny Cash. And the Tennessee Three. Now, there's a part of this song when he said, I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die, and a cons cheer. And I later met the guy that worked on the record. He said, no, they added that. He said, listen to this. Here it goes. Just to watch him die. See? They said, no, they added that. Woo! 710 KNUS. We are Denver's talk station. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being on the show. It's 24 minutes. There it is, 24 after the hour 11. Coming up right after 12 o'clock, the one, the only, Jerry Schimmel. And he got canned out of KOA, not once, but twice. And then they got rid of Marty Lentz the other day. And this is like the radio business, what's happened to us and what's happening to all of us. So 303-696-1971. We opened the show with Joe Williams talking about Chauncey Billups and the NBA scandals. Katie Paige on Snippy the Horse. We're doing open lines, bouncing on Halloween. Then Schimmel's on the show. Also, this apparently is angering up the right people, the people it's aimed at. I wrote a column entitled, Do You Remember the Day You Had a Choice? And you can go to 710knus.com and click on me, Peter Boyles, and click on columns about what the Supreme Court is listening to, the case of Childs versus Salazar, about what's called conversion therapy, which is a form of torture. I talked to you today about my friends at Water Pros. Water Pros cares about the quality of your water, and you can remove forever chemicals, microplastics, and hard water with Water Pros, and they put it as the Peter Boyles special. For again, to get the whole water softener and a point-of-use reverse osmosis drinking water systems fully installed. This is sweet. Now, start the process. Go to waterpros.net and sign up for your free in-home consultation. I also got a phone number for you. It's a gimme. It's a free one. It's a why not. The phone number also 303-862-5554, 303-862-5554. And they come and test your water. This is a gimme. It's like, why not? And start the process. Go to waterpros.net and sign up for your free in-home consultation. They'll come to your home, test your water, answer all your questions and concerns about your water. I trust these guys with my water, and you will as well. And it changes everything. It's like water changes for the better. Water Pros is family-owned and veteran-owned biz and dedicated to providing you with the best in water treatment for less than the other guys. Take the gimme. It's like you're starting to shut the doors. Everybody stays inside now. Go to waterpros.net today and request your free water test. 303-862-5554. What's that number again? 303-862-5554, and ask for the Peter Boyles special today. Our lines are wide open. First time, 303-696-1971 since we started the show. 303-696-1971. When Katie Paige was on the show, we got into talking about, who perhaps is doing most of this weird testing, if in fact that's happening on animals and UFOs and all the things that that apparently people see. And one of her conclusions, and it's certainly one that I've felt, is it's the feds, it's the CIA, it's the DOD, and of course they deny it. And you get to this thing, you think, do you honestly ask yourself this question? Do you really trust this government? Do you really trust this government? When is the last time you stopped trusting, or when is the time that you said, okay, that's enough? Think of the cons. Think of the jitterbugs that got run on you. And it's overwhelming. I don't trust these people, and I've come to try. When did I quit? And I still say it's a contention that between Jack Kennedy and Richard Nixon when everything goes kaboom for me. And I believe this, I believe that people talk about the 60s, but the 60s really doesn't begin until Jack Kennedy gets assassinated in 63. And it doesn't end until Richard Nixon quits. But in that moment, I think any reasonable human being goes, nah, come on. How much more can you blow by me? The whole Nixon administration is a giant run. And then look at these people and then watch the Cheney people and the Bush people. I mean, all this stuff. And you're supposed to say, well, yeah, I believe you. I no more believe you, and I don't believe you, and I can't believe you. And there's nothing inside of me that says, hey, Peter, they're telling you the truth. No, they're not. They run on you. And so what was the moment perhaps for you, or what was the second or the time, or where are you now? Do you actually believe these people? Because if you do, you're a damn fool. And so when Katie Paige was on, we're talking about, the government says this, the government says that. My foot. And now we're seeing that the whole NBA thing is a setup as well. So this is brilliant stuff. All right, we go to Briscoe and Wheat Ridge. Hey, Bubba, you're on the show. Thank you very much.
Hey, Pete. It's been a while. I've trained jiu-jitsu. We've talked a few times over the years.
I know your voice.
I'm an opportunist. So you said, nobody's calling in. And that's usually when I call you. Say, hi, how you doing? Check in with you. But then it starts saying, when did you quit trusting the government? And, I would say it started, I'm 55,
right.
So I was born in 1970. And literally starting a bit in high school, some friends of mine, we used to skateboard. I used to skateboard a lot. And so we'd go to Boulder, and it was so fun. The Pearl Street Mall at the end closest to the mountains, there would be a group of guys, men, who would they would hold court. And, one of them would get up and talk. And so that's when I found out the Federal Reserve, what it is and what it isn't. And, some of these guys, one of them owned a machine shop up in Boulder, and he was definitely a conspiracy guy. So you start hearing the word Illuminati or the Masons, and there's a whole snowball effect with those type of quote.
If I could interrupt, that's sidebar to your own reality of trusting the government. Forget, if you could, the conspiracy theories of the Illuminoids and or the rest of that stuff, but just think of your own experiences with them, the government, and I don't care if it's an R or a D behind their names, and they're talking to you. And damn well, later you find out they're telling you lies.
I would say it would have been a combination of the Murrah building getting bombed. I believe that's what it was called in Oklahoma City, right?
Well,
that
yes.
would be that would be the start of. Now, wait a minute, what happened? But then, not many years later, Jerry Spence, who was a lawyer out of Wyoming, wrote a book called "America from Freedom to Slavery."
Yes.
But he defended Randy Weaver.
He also climbed in bed with the Ramseys. So, I know he.
Jerry did.
Yeah, we got into a bad moment on a television show, but he told.
Good.
But I did an interview with Randy Weaver. He was in town for this preparedness expos. The get ready, it's going to come expos, and they sold all kinds of canned goods and that kind of stuff. And I knew the guy that walked Randy Weaver out, and his name was Jimmy Bo Greitz. He was a
Bo Greitz.
Yeah, sure. I knew Jimmy well, and Jimmy went up and walked him out, and through Jimmy I got to do the interview, and all things aside, that was a total setup. What they did to him, what they did to Randy Weaver.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And briefly, they had solar-powered cameras watching them for months.
Well,
prior to the raid.
Yeah.
And Lorian Horiuchi was the guy who
the
shot
sniper.
the wife through the door, right? And
he was at Waco.
I recently found out
he was at Waco.
That was yeah, that was the instigation for why Oklahoma City happened. Or
that's his name was Lon Horiuchi was his name.
Okay,
and
I guess
he was
whatever pronounced it, Lorion Horiuchi, but yeah, Lon.
Yeah, he was a sniper, and I mean that's what allegedly triggers Terry to do what he does, and Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols, and that's insane.
That's the start of it. Yeah, that's the start of it. But then you fast forward to 9/11, and all the questions unanswered.
Yeah, well, the Bush
the Patriot Act being so not patriotic, right?
Bush and Cheney lie about that. I mean, we've been over it so many times, and so all right. So, do you trust the government? You personally?
I don't trust the government to do correct. I do trust the government to be incompetent, to do wrong.
Yeah, there you go.
To break the rules they just made,
and to lie.
To not have to abide by them, and and to lie. It's
absolutely.
Unfortunate.
And if you don't believe that this government doesn't lie to you and does it daily, consistently, I got a bridge in Brooklyn. You can get it.
On that note, this would be a much smaller scale, but I can remember, I've been called to court to be on juries, do the jury duty thing 3 or 4 times. I've never had to be on one because, I'm pretty honest about, hey, I don't watch TV and I don't trust a lot of the things that are said. But, to your point, what you were just saying, on a less degree, I can remember the last time I was at Taj Mahal for that kind of a rigmarole.
Yeah.
I made it into the court, so I was doing the selection in front of the judge, and a woman a few spots down from me, and this was a police officer going to be against a criminal case situation.
Real quick.
And the lady's like, she totally trusts the cops, and she basically confesses the cops are always honest, and my jaw dropped. So.
Well, it isn't so much that it's the cops are now victims themselves of all of this craziness.
In many ways, you're right.
Be safe. Thanks, man. Good to hear you.
You too.
All right, we go to Rusty in Denver. Rusty, you're on a radio show 303-696-1971. Good morning.
Good morning. Let me finish chewing. No, I'm done.
Okay, all right.
As to the question of do you trust this government, Donald Trump ran on several platforms. He ran on the promise of fixing immigration, check, double check. He ran on addressing rampant crime, check, double check, excuse me. He ran on dealing with Iran and protecting Israel, check. He said he was going to do tariffs, and he's done all those things, every single frickin' one of them. And people may not like the way in which he has done certain things, but he's doing what he said he was going to do, and he'll leave it up to the courts to decide whether the way he is doing it is legal or not. He's pushing boundaries, which is what I think is the job of a president.
What I'm talking about is from the early part of the 60s and probably before. I didn't trust anyone till Trump. No, I'm just kidding. That's it. No, it's okay to say that, but we're talking about an arc, a span of years of these people sitting there looking you in the eyes and lying to you.
Oh, President Biden is as active and as sharp as anybody I've ever seen at any time.
Or better yet, Bush Cheney, Richard Nixon, Lyndon Johnson. We can do a list of things.
What do you think? Oh, wait. I want to get to the root of 9/11. Do you think it was an inside job?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No, I don't. I don't believe that, but I do believe the people that were blamed for it by the Bush Cheney people, Afghans and Iraqis, had nothing to do with it, and it was Saudi Arabian funded. If you look at the people on the airplanes, those terrible days, there was no Afghans on those planes. There was no Iraqis on those planes. Why were they the targets of Bush and Cheney?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not prepared.
No, I do. No, I know.
Talk about that, but
no, but that's my example. I'm just.
Well, I think.
Go ahead.
I think there might have been a sincere belief
No,
about Saddam Hussein.
no. There was a lie that was told by the CIA, presented Bush and Cheney, well, more so Cheney, what he wanted to hear. It's happened many times. There's a guy named, read about a guy named Curveball. Curveball was the source that they used, and they caught Colin Powell up in lies. And they how could they not know? It had nothing to do with Saddam. It had zero to do with the Afghans.
Do you think Colin Powell was lying?
I think Colin Powell got had, and he was lying when he went in the UN and
Was
yeah, he was telling lies.
he lying? Did
Yeah.
he know he was lying?
Well, that's the question. There are people.
Well, that's impossible. He couldn't have been because he was black.
No, I'm not saying that. Colin Powell's a very, very, very decent man, and has nothing to do with skin color. And they told him, they instructed him. Dick Cheney instructed him to go into the UN and tell this story of the aluminum and all the yellow cake uranium. Those were lies. It had nothing to do with he was a loyal man. I got to jump at 303-696-1971. Hang on. Jerry Schimmel. Step right on him. Jerry Schimmel coming up after 12 o'clock. 710 KNUS, the 25th of October. Oh, man, play it sweet. There you go. Marshall Tucker. Quit it, Peter. I want this played at my funeral. I talked to these guys. I think I told you. I met them in Sturgis, and I asked if Leonard Skinner's the band, and I asked if the story was true that this was a song written after the death of Skydog Allman, and so they thought, that although they didn't write it, the band that plays now is Leonard. They thought, yeah, this was written on the death of Skydog Allman, and he died on a motorcycle. 710 KNUS. Good morning, everyone. Pretty soon we'll say good afternoon. I'm going to read this to you and tell you how much I agree with what this man or woman, I don't know who sent it. Peter, I'm so old that one of my Halloween costumes was a Davy Crockett outfit with a buckskin fringe jacket and a coonskin cap. Of course, I had a flintlock cap pistol tucked into my belt and a rifle to boot. Great text. And then she puts, P.S., and I totally agree. Screw the KNUS PSA about asking your house host if they're going to have guns in their house. I could not agree more. If you say to me, you can have guns, don't come to dinner. If you're going to ask me something that's stupid, that inane, and that personal, go to McDonald's, hit the drive-thru. That is the most idiotic, stupid PSA. All right, let's go here. We go to Brent in Morrison, Colorado. You're on the show. Good morning.
Good morning, good sir.
Hey, man.
Hey, just following up on your topic at point on why, at what point or whatever you stop trusting your government, and it's my contention that they give you weekly, if not daily, reasons to do that very thing.
You bet.
The amount of propaganda that comes around any particular subject is as hard and heavy, and it can take you in any different direction you want to believe.
Agreed.
And I think right now, in the last 2 months, I think there's a lot of people that voted for Donald Trump that have taken a step back and maybe to the side for a lot of the performances that we've seen. The newest one being this $40 billion contract with Argentinian beef, the handling of Israel. These things just keep rolling and rolling and rolling. And at some point you got to wonder if there's anybody that's got a pistol helping you out in some dark shadow in the night.
Well, you crossed over a number of things. One is, and I noticed from my reading over the week, at the end of the week, and then this morning at the show, they now put the DOJ on California elections. This is the continuation of the biggest lie. And I come back to, that lie that Trump won was generated in the Oval Office and helped along by useful idiots that worked at this radio station and others. Having said that, that was unforgivable to me. But the other side I can look at and go, okay, there are other issues, there are other fish to fry. But in the continuation of I will tell you a lie, and the last fellow we were talking about what Bush and Cheney did, and they were just misunderstood. They were not misunderstood. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were told it was lies. And you read the stuff about Rumsfeld, when people would go into Rumsfeld's office and try to be an opposite point of view, they were I almost said the word, but they were canned. And you know this stuff now, and it really gets back to this guy that was called Curveball. And Curveball was there, and the French told him, hey, this guy's he's a consummate liar. And the CIA used him, and they kidnapped people off of the streets, and they put them in what was called black prisons, and they were off the budgets, and they were worked over by people in the Middle East and people, that they would beat them until they told them what they wanted to hear. And I became kind of an interesting friend, maybe it's the wrong choice of words, with John McCain. And I sat with McCain. McCain was tortured. I can't believe that again, Trump said those things about McCain, but McCain was tortured, and McCain were sitting having a sandwich down at Old Clear Channel, and he sent his aide down to the food cart and got some sandwiches, and we're sitting there talking, and I'm asking him about being a POW and everything. He said, "Let me tell you something," because he was forceful in attempting to change and changing the Uniform Code of Military Justice to what happens when you're a POW. And he said, "You'll tell them." He said, "You will tell them." He said, "You won't tell them the truth." He said, "You'll tell them what they want to hear." And they wanted
That's always the case.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's everything that you hear. But let's talk about the number of arrests that Donald Trump and everybody promised, starting with January 6th, Mar-a-Lago raid, Biden auto pen, 2020 election, Epstein, COVID, Benghazi, Doge. Not one single arrest has come around, and this is the cycle just goes and goes and goes.
It's your guys, and I mean the whole John Eastman is the Republican Party. If they haven't brought him here to talk already, he's coming up to talk. I mean, that's ridiculous. John Eastman. What these people did. And I'm reading excerpts from Kamala Harris. And she says in her book, Do With This As You May, she's cooking pancakes on a Saturday morning with her grandkids. The phone rings. It's Joe Biden. And he's telling her, "I'm not going to run." And about that quick, and does a hang up. And there she, I mean, I'm no fan of Kamala Harris, and I wouldn't have anything to do with Kamala Harris.
None of it's real. It's all fake.
But that's my point. It's like, wait a minute. There was no primaries. There was no humps, no bumps, no buttons. And he literally, she gets a phone call cooking pancakes with her grandkids, and it's Joe. Joe says, "I'm not running."
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, after all of that, it took a Saturday morning. I don't know who put pressure on him. Does that pronounce the deep state? Was it, the Obamas? Who was it? Or was it? I don't think it was Joe Biden, because I think she is very angry because she got knocked out of the box. And you look at it.
Well, what do you think where do you see this going here? I mean, we're in a 10-year timeline, I think, right now. Where do you think this ends up with the battle of these two parties?
Well, first of all, the Democrats are they're Trotskyists, they're socialist workers. The Republicans are a one-man party, and and that neither one of those go to a good place. But I much prefer, the tariff wars and the kinds of things, because if Kamala would have become president, and what was that line? We were on a downhill slide, and she was just sliding in, and. Yeah. I mean, I can't see anything good coming out of that.
No.
And I think most of the American people, or at least some of the American people, but right now, I read this morning, getting ready to gig the show, and Donald Trump's, approval rating, and you can say, well, that doesn't count. And I agree, it's a snapshot, but he's below where Biden was. Now, he can win it. Approval ratings come back and forth, but. I can't tell you because I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what to believe, because I get back into I don't believe these people. I don't. And
and I think you look around the people that are in your fellow countrymen, and you take a good look, and that is what the challenges are at hand. And whether you disagree with someone or you agree or help or whatever it is, but the people that you're standing around are a reflection of where things are going.
Absolutely. I stole Barry Maguire for this column that just dropped, and he had that great line, "Look around you, boy, it's bound to scare you, boy." And I think, Barry, I don't know how long ago Barry had that hit, but he said, and tell me we're not on the eve of destruction. And but I think, Trump's doing some really good things, and there's a lot of insanity that goes with it. So, but I think that's true. I mean, I think it's true with so many things, but it's hard to top Nixon. It's hard to top Lyndon Johnson. It's hard to top the Bush-Cheney regime. I mean, it's hard to top those guys. And so, hey, very good call. Well thought out, man. Thanks so much for calling the show.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. All right. We got the total turnaround, and then Jerry Schimmel, fired twice from KOA and the Rockies. I love the guy. Jerry Schimmel coming up on 710 KNUS.